I think Quick Step are the next team with two good sprinters. We have Chiolek and Chichi, and we did see the other day Chiolek, I don't know what he was trying to do 2 days ago, because he started the sprint, and Francesco Chichi wasn't anywhere near his wheel, and you know, you have to be able to look around in the sprint as a sprinter, and there's no point in making that burst with 250, 300 metres to go, with Chiolek, you know, we did see him do. So if they get it right, we could see them, you know, putting up a bit of a fight, because Chichi, if he's taken at the right point, I think he's the one maybe the nearest to the Cavendish and Patakis.
Really? I've got a sneaking suspicion that Balletti will try something again today for Colnago CSF, because it's his home area. He's going all right. I wouldn't say he's going super fast, but he's going all right. And what about Roberto Ferrari? He's been extremely consistent all the way through. He's probably been, if you look at the statistics, the best of the rest, other than Pataki and Cavendish. So it might be interesting to see what they do. As I say, no Borut Bozic and no Napolitano to contest this absolutely flat one. 86 kilometres to go. It's under 3 minutes the gap now, and they're rolling along towards Ravenna, controlling the pace for what should be a massive sprint finish.
Experience breathtaking motion clarity and watch the French Open live in 3D on the new Panasonic Neoplasma TV, so you can truly immerse yourself in the action. Be fascinated by Viero Neoplasma. Panasonic, ideas for life.
Festina, official timekeeper, Giro d'Italia.
A glance at the Eurosport weekend, and the mighty Monte Zoncolan looms large. It's the last spin of the wheel in California, and first serve in the French Grand Slam. All part of the Eurosport weekend, live.
Welcome back. It's our live coverage of the Giro d'Italia. Today is stage 12, and it is completely flat, as we've said. If you're just joining us, 4 men up the road on this stage from Castelfidardo to Ravenna, 184 kilometres. And they are Michał Golas, the Polish rider for Vacon Soleil. He's 52 minutes and 1 second down on the general classification. Steph Clement, the rider from Rabobank, the former national time trial champion, a very strong rider, good for long breakaways, 1 hour 17:53 down. Davide Ricciabiti of the Farnese Vini team, 1 hour 39:18 down, and Miguel Minguez of Euskaltel Escadi, 1 hour 35:26 down. He is in second spot at the moment. There is confirmation of the 4 men in the break, and they're just sort of touring along really, and they will know in their heart of hearts, well, they'll know when they went out today, that they are likely to be tracked down, hunted down for the sprint finish today. What is the mentality then, Sean, of riders who go out absolutely guaranteed to finish in a sprint because it's the last chance that the sprinters really have?
Well, it's the riders, they have to have a big morale to do it, because as you say, you know in your heart and soul it's highly unlikely that it's going to be left out there, and I suppose the team that orders, they say, look, you know, guys, today is going to be a difficult day, highly unlikely the breakaway will succeed at all, but let's try and let's get just airtime on TV, and the riders, they just go and do that. If you're pushed by the director sportive, well then he give the riders and say, you know, you're the guys who have to be careful up there, stay up there in the front and just go with the attacks, and then you find yourself in the break and you say, my God, this is the one who's going to succeed today. I'm stuck up here, and you just get on with the job.
There's Patrick Gretsch doing the job on the front of the peloton at the moment. He's had Marco Pinotti with him, Sek Rabon, and there's a group of riders do the early part of the work, and then they'll peel off and some other riders will come through and do the next section of work. Craig Lewis being one of them. Just keep it rolling along. All for Mark Cavendish. It's his day today to try and get another win against Pataki and go one better than him, and this is what he has to say.
It's the last flat day. We'll try for the win. It's going to be a long day for us, knowing the other teams want to help us really too much on the sprint day, so be a lot of riding for the guys, and then yeah, hopefully you can pay it off for the win. So.
Can you describe for the Eurosport viewers the best way to do the sprint with all your teammates and of course Mark Renshaw?
Like you see in the past, you keep the speed high, one line, and the guys just do a pull as fast as they can, and Mark Renshaw will be the last man, taking me to 250 metres, 200 metres, and then just try and finish it off. So.
Mark, before to leave and before to see you again on the Tour de France, we can say that already your Giro is not as bad, it's quite good in fact.
No, it's really good. The team won the team time trial. Pinotti had pink, I wore pink a day, won a stage, hopefully win another, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, Mark seems to be pretty relaxed, Sean. I think he is. I mean, he knows that this is the end of the Giro for him. We saw at the top of the programme, he's going to go home after this. There's no reason why he should flog himself through the next 3 months days in the mountains.
No, there's no point in going on from here because there's nothing left. If there was a number of days left after the next 3 days, flat stage, you might see go ace the final chance. And of course the sprinters, they don't like, you know, flogging themselves up the mountains. Always difficulty to get inside the time limit, and if you do too much mountain stages in the big tours, it does take a bit from your speed and your outright sprinting speed. So they do not do that. If you look back in the past, you know, all the big sprinters, they go before the big mountains come, with the Cipollini's, for example. I thought in Cavendish are happy with the form he's got. He's coming right, and for the Tour de France, it looks like the shape is going in the right direction.
So Mark, a sprinter not wanting to go into the mountains, just got to give a quick mention for my friend Laura Saab, who is helping to organise and run the Estonian cycling weekend coming up. And one of the riders is the formerly disgraced, or still disgraced, Michael Rasmussen. Now riding for Christina Watches. They are a team that's entered into the Estonian cycling weekend. He'll be hard pushed to find anything like a hill in Estonia, one has to say. That's going on. And one man who's still racing in the Estonian weekend, Jan Kursipuu. He must be about 43, Jan Kursipuu now, but he's racing with the team. There we go. It's about as flat as this the whole weekend. Michael Golas rolls through. Quite a classy bike rider. And we are literally running through the full hotel area of Riccione now. Haven't seen Jamie Burrow yet, but we understand he's selling ice creams out the front of his hotel here.
A world of smiles. The city of happiness. Hangzhou, China.
Festina, official timekeeper, Giro d'Italia.
Have you already chosen your tire? Because the tire makes the car. Japan quality. Yokohama, your tire.
Experience Experience breathtaking motion clarity and watch the French Open live in 3D on the new Panasonic Neoplasma TV, so you can truly immerse yourself in the action. Be fascinated by Viero Neoplasma. Panasonic.
The superstars of tennis are back in the City of Lights. All set for a fortnight of explosive duels. Looking for the edge, looking to put each new challenger to the sword. 7 straight victories. That's what it takes to secure the ultimate clay court trophy. Enormous power and stamina. Those are the essential qualities to grab that Grand Slam dream. The French Open from Roland Garros, Sunday at 11, is live and in HD on Eurosport. And every night get the full picture with all the insight of Mats Wilander in Game, Set and Mats.
With Peugeot, share the emotion of Roland Garros champions.
These 4 men are, well, they're on a hiding to nothing today. What they do get is some airtime and some exposure for their sponsors. Euskaltel, we haven't seen too much of them, so it's good to see them out in a breakaway in the Giro d'Italia. This team, Farnese Vini, very important on the road and be seen by the cameras. Got plenty of time to do so today. It's a long flat stage. A camera bike is always with them. But it's this team here, HTC High Road, who are going to do most of the work today. Patrick Grech is the rider at the front, big, tall rider, doing the pace setting in the moment. 2:43. They're setting it up for Mark Cavendish today. We've heard from him. The other team that will want to contest the win today, so they can get one-upmanship on Cavendish, is Pataki's Lamprey team. The last man off the front before Pataki opens up for the sprint is Danilo Hondo, extra experienced, and here is what he has to say about the finish today.
You know, these days are already difficult, you know, you never know. Normally it's one of the last chance also for Cavendish. We have a victory in the sprint. We had a lot of work in the last days. So for us it's not very important that we have a bunch sprint today, but it's important to control the situation for the classification. And yeah, of course there will be a chance. We will try to sprint, you know.
So if we have a chance to sprint, you will be in front of Alessandro. What is the secret to do a good sprint?
Yeah, this is a feeling thing, you know. You have to be on the right position in the last 20-30 kilometers because everybody is nervous. You have to be careful but aggressive too. And then the best moment to come in front and to push for the sprinter, you know, in the best speed and the best position. So yeah, it's a feeling thing, and for me, I'm also a rider with big feeling for sprints. So I hope to know actually what's important is.
Do you have time when the speed is around 60, 65? Do you have time to speak with Alessandro, or it's only with feeling?
It's a lot of feeling, and we always speak races, you know, what we think about, what was good, what was not so nice, and Alessandro know me and I know him very well, so the most time we know very, very well what's important in this moment, you know.
A nice interview with Hondo. Very eloquent indeed, telling us exactly what it's like. A feeling, I could hear more than a feeling going on in the background there. Some mid-70s soft rock going on in my head, unfortunately. Yeah, answers one of the questions that we had a little bit earlier from Oliver, saying how high are the top speeds in the final 200. Well, there you are, 60 kilometres sometime. But Cavendish talking to Michael Barry. That's the sort of speed he's going to be riding at. Craig Lewis is the man nearest to us from HTC in the white. Barry in the middle from Sky in the black and white. Carlos Sastre in the Geox colours, moving up, lurking in there. Derek Adams riding in saying, come on, Jan Kursipje, he's a mere sprat of 41 years of age. Last time I recall, he won a couple of stages in the Ras in Ireland in 2009. Funny you should mention the Ras because it starts this weekend.
Yes, that's true. Of course, Kirsty 2 years ago, he was up there and won a couple of stages, very aggressive right through. And the Ross is starting this weekend. Sunday, the 22nd is starting, and there's also a leisure cycle, which is a big thing. We've talked about that a number of days ago. They have this Legend Tour in Dunboyne, which is a leisure cycle, and that's on Saturday the 21st, and they have all sorts of distances, 10, 55, 120, and actually the post team is going to ride, the post team for the Ross, the 55k, as a bit of training and just to ride with the people and to do the 55k as a warm-up for Sunday's first stage of the Ross.
Just a bit of a warm-up for the first. What's the character of the Ross as a race? It sort of jumps about all over the place, doesn't it, really?
Yes, it's a great race if you're in real good shape, because it's a very aggressive race, you know, just attacking every day. And the reason for that is difficult to control the race because it's a 5-man team, so it's, you know, an impossible task if you take the race leader's jersey, start riding the front in the earlier days and control it right through. So everybody's trying, you know, plays a number of cards from a team, because that is the way you have to do it, and for that it makes very aggressive racing and attacking racing every day.
Well, we've passed through Riccione. Sadly, JB was not to be seen, selling a 99 with a flake, unfortunately. Next marker point at 50 points, really, in our 50 kilometres in our tour along the Adriatic coast is Cesenatico, the hometown of the late Marco Pantani, and we're bound to see a whole load of things at the side of the road commemorating Marco Pantani. I mean, he is, whatever you think of the man as a watcher here in Italy and in this area, he's still a monumental hero, so we are more than likely to see stuff out on the road. It's an interesting looking place. Looks like a brace of giant apples down there on the left hand side. Monster Vegetable World or something. Clearly a theme park. And this Adriatic coastline is absolutely, as you can see, it's completely dominated by the long sandy beach on the right hand side of your shot. Totally stuffed with hotels. Four men in our breakaway, if you're just joining us, to remind you, they are Michael Golas at the back here, the Polish rider for Vacances Soleil, 52 minutes down on the GC. Steph Clement, just peeling off the front. Strong time trialist and breakaway rider, another one of those big rouleurs in the Rabobank squad. 1 hour, 17 minutes, 53 down. The man who's gone to the front now is Miguel Minguez of Euskaltel. 1 hour 35:26, and the man in the fluorescent yellow, black and white of Farnese Vini is Davide Riccibiti. 1 hour 39:18 seconds down. These four trying to get to the finish, they won't. It'll be a sprint finish today. Taki and Cavendish in for a showdown.
Journey of the Giro, week 2 brings the twin challenges of big hills and long flat runs into an Adriatic headwind. Each stage presents a potential problem for the favourites, and Nibali and Contador need to keep focused, tension, and the awesome Monte Zoncolan. The Giro d'Italia, tomorrow at 14:30, live on Eurosport.
Japan quality. Yokohama, your tire.
California. Castelfidardo-Ravenna is the stage. It's stage 12. 3 massive mountain days coming up, and so we will say goodbye to some of the sprinters after today. Mark Cavendish already said at the top of our programme, time for me to go home. Alessandro Petacchi likewise is likely to be out after today, and a whole clutch of sprinters. It's been not that many riders who've retired so far from the Giro d'Italia. I'll read them out to you in a minute, but we'll see a whole heap more in the next couple of days, especially those guys who are not used to the big mountains, and they are very big indeed. We'll talk about just a second, but these 4 men are on a hiding to nothing, getting out there, but they are getting their sponsors out. Rabobank at the back, represented by Steph Clement. Then there's Mikko Golas of the Vacances Soleil squad, Davide Riccipitti of Farnese Vini, and at the front Miguel Minguez of Utel. Just a quick plug for the inaugural Eastbourne Cycling Festival. As we're at the seaside, I thought we'd do a bit of a seaside plug. Eastbourne Cycling Festival coming up this weekend for the first time. If you go to the local government site, visit eastbourne.com, or the tourist site, visit eastbourne.com/events/cycling, you'll find all the details. Well, there's a double of this in the road yesterday. Radio Shack's Chris Horner took his first victory since his overall in the Tour of Pays Basque a year ago to win. Rode off into the distance. He took the win ahead of Andy Schleck. I've got to say, Horner is looking in very lean condition indeed. Took the win ahead of Andy Schleck and Sutherland of United Healthcare. Levi Leipheimer coming in behind them as well. So he takes over the leader's yellow jersey as well. And Chris Horner climbing very, very well to take the victory. As I say, the first he's had since the Basque Country last year. He looks pretty lean, doesn't he?
Yes, he is really lean. Well, he's lean all the time, he's lean, but there he looks real good. And again, you know, he's coming into shape at good time. He's one of the men for Radio Shack for the Tour of France, of course, and last year we see him, he was riding well. And it will be interesting to see what kind of performance he can put up in the Tour de France, and I think he's thinking of, you know, a general classification there again.
Yeah, I would think so. I can be very pleased, of course, he's putting a lot of that time and effort into the Tour of California, which had a bit of a troubled start, of course, having to cancel its first stage due to snow. That's what you get if you move it to May to get better weather, because it used to rain a lot. Move it to May to get better weather, that's what you get, snow immediately. So it's always the way, isn't it? It's a bit like this year's Good Friday meeting at Herne Hill. For two or 3 years it's been rained off, so they moved it to Manchester Velodrome, and then it blazed down sunshine. What can you do? What can you do?
And we see the Tour of California there, the crowds, you know, spectacular at the finish, and you know, it's a great event, and it's unfortunate for the organisers. They try to do everything to get it at a date where they're going to be guaranteed weather, but you can have no control over the weather. And it's great to see in the States that we have that race, and there's also another race there I was reading, I think it's the Colorado, the 22nd, 28th. They have this Tour of Colorado which is back on the calendar, and remember in the mid-80s when it was running the Course Classic, it was called, and Bernardino was one of the winners, I think, in the 80s, I remember. So it's nice to see that we're getting those races at the other side of the Atlantic.
Yeah, other side of the pond. Did you do much racing in the States?
Unfortunately not, because you know, I had a very busy program here in Europe. The team was riding with wanting me to do race in Spain, and I wanted to do the classics and the Tour of France and all of that, and because of that, you know, the races that were in the States, I did not take part in many of them. The DuPont Tour I took part 1 year with the PDM team, and the World Championships in Colorado, of course, but apart from that, the occasional appearance in a criterium race, but I think, you know, in total there were 10 times in my career that I competed out there.
Yeah, they had some good races, didn't they, in the late 80s, early 90s. Tour du Pont, as you said, Coors Classic. Largely really spurred by the incredible success of Greg LeMond.
Yes, Greg LeMond, and of course, I suppose, you know, the 7-Eleven team as well. That was part of it, because they, you know, came over here to Europe, started competing in the big tours, the Tour of Italy, and then went on to the Tour of France and had, you know, great success with in the Tour of Italy, of course, Andy Hanston, and then, you know, winning a lot of stages in the Tour of France, and Greg, you know, coming on, winning the Tour of France is it's, you know, pushed it on, made it more popular in the States, and then the races came on, and it's grown since. And when you look at the number of American riders that are in the peloton at the moment, you know, I am very disappointed. Back in Ireland, you know, we had a number of riders in the mid-80s, where there was 4 of us in there competing, and I thought it would just blossom from there, snowball from there, and we would have a number of pros continue on, but unfortunately not. But when you look at the Americans, there's a lot of them, you know, in different teams all around, in European teams, but also in the American teams, which, you know, there's quite a few of them down now. And when you look at the Tour of France and the big stage races, you know, there's always a lot of Americans on the start list.
Just a couple of questions spinning off that. I mean, we've got time today because we've still got 68 kilometres to go, and it's pan flat. When the 7-Eleven team came across, a lot of the Europeans thought they were a bit of a joke, really. I mean, they weren't going to be a proper team, but they soon changed their ways when people like Hampston showed they could climb, and Davis Finney showed just how good he was in the sprint.
Yes, they came over here a little bit of a difficult start, maybe, to get, you know, get their feet, get their feeling here. But when they got going, you know, it didn't take them long to start winning stages and start, you know, winning the 3-week tours. And from there on, it just started to grow. And you know, definitely when they did come over, I think, you know, cycling at that time was very much European stuff. It was, you know, French and French speaking. And I remember when I started professional, if you were riding along in the bunch and you had somebody speak English behind you, you'd look around immediately and, you know, to see who it was, because it was such a rare thing to hear. Where now, you know, as we can see in the interviews and that, like, it's a big part of the professional cycling scene is English spoken.
Ian Reid saying the Coors Classic just makes me think of American Flyers. You ever see that film, American Flyers? Fantastic. Some good handlebar moustaches in there. Is that the one with the Russian who wore essentially a canoe helmet? A big beefy guy with a great big beard and shaved legs. Marco Pinotti has neither of those. Oh, he has the shaved legs, but he doesn't have a big beard. And he's sitting on the front doing the work for HTC High Road. The other question I was going to ask, Sean, is the fact that the Americans continued to blossom and continued to get riders into the peloton. Why didn't you guys in Ireland do it? I mean, you got 4 top professionals riding. Why didn't it continue?
I think it was, first of all, I was looking at it in the mid-80s, and when we went back to Ireland to compete in the Nissan Classic, for example, and the support like that we had there from the general public, the turnout was just unbelievable, and we had a lot of very good amateurs coming through, competing the Tour of Britain, for example, and also over here in Europe, and it looked like they were just going to go on and get into professional teams, and I was, under the the idea was that they would go on, and we'll definitely have 2 or 3, and then it will grow from there. So I think we all got it wrong. We just thought it would blossom, and unfortunately just did not make the final step. And I think it became a bit more difficult as well with the East Europeans. It opened up for them to come into the teams, and that made the places, I think, more difficult to get within the professional teams. And unfortunately we lost it after that. Interest went down for a number of years, and we went through a very poor time, and now we're coming back up there. Like the last couple of years, we have the Tour of France guys, and we have quite a few of the guys in very big professional teams and performing very well at Tour of France level and all the other major races.
Do you think that, very briefly, because I think we're going to have a commercial break coming up, do you think that the American penchant for riding time trials, a bit like the Brits, and triathlons as well, has helped them, because they can get to a very high performance level in terms of strength and physique quite quickly, and you don't have that sort of culture in Ireland.
Well, I think that helps, but again, it's the mentality of the riders as well. You know, you come from the States or you come from Australia, you come over here for the year and you base yourself for the year, and that's a little part of the success, I think, where the Irish maybe were a bit close to home and going back and forth. That's certainly not helping.
Time for a commercial break as we watch giant people invading Ravenna.
CD cycling shoes.
Pristina, official timekeeper, Giro d'Italia.
Thank you.
In the heart of Eurasia, in peace, in good shape. Welcome to Kazakhstan of the 21st century.
I've been riding the road since 1978. I won many a Giro, Tour and Vuelta. Bicycles evolve, and I evolved, but cycling is always the same. Sweat and hard work. Concours Carbon FX, 160 grams of real cycling.
CD cycling shoes.
Innovation, technology, design. Scott.
Well, not much has changed in this shot, is it? You're running along the Adriatic coastline. All those holiday beaches on the far side of our shot. If you were to look behind you in this shot, well, not obviously now because you'd see the back of the sofa or something, but if you were looking behind on the camera bike, you'd see a whole raft of hotels. The man doing the job of a water carrier for Lamprey is Nimiek. And the Pole did a very, very good job on Etna for Scarponi and had to carry on doing that. He must have thought his job had been over when Scarponi went off after Alberto Contador, and then when he realised that he wasn't going to be able to stay with Contador, he came back into the little group behind, and Nimiek had to do it all over again. Well, the wind doesn't seem to be affecting them too much today. There's not a great deal of it whipping across the break. Otherwise, a very fun day for riding a bike, Sean. It'd be quite nice to be out here on holiday doing it.
Yes, it would be, and better to be lying on the beach on holiday. But yes, it's a nice place to ride your bike. Maybe not, you know, the time of the year when it's really busy, holiday time. I would reckon a lot of traffic in this area, so I wouldn't think it's the best place. We've had some, you know, better terrain. We've been over some better roads, and you know, the flat roads can be boring as well, where we've been in some of the mountains. Like yesterday's stage, it was spectacular. You know, little hills for perfect casual bike racing or bike riding, let's call it, and they're the ones I would certainly prefer. And I think the majority of bike riders, leisure cyclists, they prefer a little bit of hill, a little bit of variety, because the flat roads, it can get very boring. And today is going to be, you know, a long stage for a lot of the riders here, just sitting in the bunch and waiting until they get to that point where the race will really kick off in the last 25-30 kilometres. And the general classification riders, a lot of them will be just looking forward to get today's stage over with.
This area, of course, you know, talking about people coming here for holidays and biking holidays, Gianni and all these places up and down the coast. If you want to be a biker, you just head inland, don't you, to places like San Marino and Urbino and so forth. It's a lot more like it was yesterday. But just going back to yesterday's stage, Jean Gadret over those lumpy sections that used to be quite nice for leisure riding, but not so good when you're racing. Jean Gadret absolutely timing that perfectly yesterday. First win for quite a while.
Yes, the last win he had was in 2008 in the Tour de l'Ain, which is in the month of August. It's one of the first races I think they have after the Tour of France. You know, if you look at yesterday, 57 kilos was reading his weight, so you know, he's a real lightweight, and you know, real good performance yesterday. And unfortunately for Moreno, you know, the last 100 meters, 150 meters, that's much too long. But Gadret, he, you know, we know him from the Tour of France last year. He was, you know, very much up there, and we'll remember the problem he had with Nicholas Roach when he had a flat tyre, and he was supposed to hand the wheel over, but he just kept on riding, and there was a little bit of friction within the team. So yes, eventually he gets a victory, because he's been in the Tour of Italy for quite a number of years, and I think was it 2005 he became professional, actually. He was surprisingly a Belgium team, Chocolat Jack, but I suppose it was more for his mountain bike, for his cyclocross part.
He's been crosser most of his life, but he's made that jump to the road and sort of turned up at the Giro d'Italia. Nobody really knew who he was, what his background was, other than he was a cyclocrosser who had represented France at the World Championships and so forth. And then there he is doing.
Yes, I've seen it before, but you know, he's really been up there in the Tour of Italy, and the first year he did ride was 206 actually, and he had a very good performance. I think 5th, they say, in Monte Bondone, which is misclimb, and the cyclocrossers, they can climb well, you know, a lot of them are lightweight, but to be able to do a 3-week tour, a lot of them have problems, you know, the stamina for that, and you know, there's some of them that's real good mountain bikers that did go on to be professional and try the big tours, but you know, wasn't successful. Miguel Martinez was one who tried it on the road for a while from the mountain bike scene, which is also pretty similar, you know, a short event cyclocross mountain biking tour event, but you know, never really made it on the road. The endurance, he just never, you know, built it enough.
I don't think he got the mentality right either, actually. He didn't quite know. He could never quite get his head around working in a team, the different set of tactics. He always went off by himself and then came back, and then he just had difficulties adapting. There's Davide Ricciabiti, third year now as a professional. Actually, his best result this year was on the Strada Bianchi back in the early spring on the Montepaschi Strada Bianchi, 43rd for Ricciabiti. So a top 50 place there, not too bad, but that's about the extent of his palmares for this year. He's been in 2 breakaways in this Giro d'Italia. Good for the team to get him out there. Good for him. Good for his confidence.
I'm not sure if it'll be good for his confidence when he gets to finish today, because when you're out there for so long, and you know, you know in your heart and soul, so the morale maybe at the end of the day, you say to yourself, well, I was the unlucky one. I was into that break which succeeded, but again, he's going to get exposure here, and you know, though the riders we have out here are the ones which, you know, I mentioned later, are being picked out, and the team directors will be saying, well, you know, be careful, you should try and, you know, we get up the road. And a lot of the teams there, the director sportif would say, riders, depending, you know, the bigger teams who have interests in the general classification with riders who are, you know, possible winners of this race, or certainly in the top 5 in the general classification, they stay more back in the bunch and look after their leader and just try and take it easy, because the days to come are going to be vital for those teams and those riders.
Yuri Kvitsov is water carrier today for the men of AG Tour hardly a breath of wind today at all. We're just rolling along with under 60 kilometres to go, looking down at the Adriatic. Just those wave breaks there. Stop the wave to come crashing in onto the beaches, protect the beaches, allow a little bit more sheltered cover for what is a big industry here. It's the industry of this area, the tourist industry along that long sandy beach. But as we were saying, if you're coming out here to ride your bike, just head inland. Some great biking around here, otherwise they wouldn't have so many hotels who just cater for bikers. A little bit like the Italian version of Mallorca here, Sean. They get huge amounts of people coming along to ride their bikes here.
Yes.
Have you ever ridden out here in this area?
No, never ridden in this area, and I suppose you could compare as well to, you know, down Spain, Calpe, that area, Benidorm, where a lot of the teams go. Calpe especially is another area where the teams use it in the beginning of season training. The climate is the big thing as well, of course. You have a good climate a lot of the year, and that's you know, so important. And you can, as you said, once you get off the bigger roads and you go inland, you could go on the smaller roads. There's always a possibility of finding quieter roads.
Yep, that's the thing to do. Definitely. Actually, I think Jamie Burrows just started following me on Twitter, which is cool. And he owns a hotel here. He's been selling ice creams outside the front of his door. If you've got any quick tips about where you, obviously your own hotel, but where you ride inland from here, Jamie, then just tweet them to me, and we'll retweet them. There we go. Finally, getting off the coast itself. 2 minutes and 16 seconds is the gap to our 4 breakaway men. Who are these? Ricci, Clement, Golas and Minguez. We'll take a commercial break. See you in a second.
CD cycling shoes.
Innovation, technology, design, Scott.
2,786 hours of sunshine per year, 1,244 islands, 576 fish species, 130 native grape varieties, 14 UNESCO heritage sites, and treasures of tradition. Simply too much for a 30-second commercial, just enough for a perfect the Mediterranean as it once was.
Experience breathtaking motion clarity and watch the French Open live in 3D on the new Panasonic Neoplasma TV, so you can truly immerse yourself in the action. Originated by Neoplasma. Panasonic, ideas for life.
Cristina, official timekeeper, Giro d'Italia.
CD cycling shoes.
Castelfidardo to Ravenna, 184 kilometres, which will end in a mass sprint today because Mark Cavendish and Alessandro Petacchi's team, HTC High Road and Lamprey respectively, want to have this victory today. They're both one apiece. They want to leave this year with a bit of going on. Bit of a problem for Euskaltel. Probably a puncture. And trying to chase back on at the moment. Ramandia. But the man who will be in trouble is almost definitely Igor Anton. And needing to get back up to the peloton as quickly as possible. Let's see what we have at the side of the road. Is this a replay of it? Nope. Hachrech is the man on the front for HTC High Road doing the work. Now, Sean, this is the last of the sprint days. We've got 3 massive days in the mountains, including the ascent to the Zoncolan, but before that, the ascent and descent of Monte Crostis. First time it's been put in, but there's a lot of controversy about it being dangerous.
Well, of course, it all started with the difficult start we had at the Giro, of course, and then it went on, and Monte Crostis, we did see, pictures of the descent, and some of the corners looked really dangerous, no barrier protection at all, although they have put netting up, and it's done a lot of work out there and to make it safe, but